And it leads me to today as we talk about the family. Now, who this is for those of us that are married, want to be married. Maybe we're in marriage number 1. Maybe we're in marriage number 2. Maybe we're in marriage number 3 or 4, something down the line, along the lines there. Maybe we've asked the question, like, what should marriage look like? Are there parameters there should be? What could I do as a husband? What can I do as a wife? This is for you. If you're not in that category, if you've never asked that question, I guess you can take like a 40-minute nap if you'd like. But what we're talking about, obviously, is leading healthy homes. And for me, I think back to where I learned how to be a dad or what things I saw. And some things I saw were TV shows. We're not there yet, Vince. Don't worry about that. That's a while. For TV shows. I remember watching a name. Maybe you remember this name, Carl Winslow. You remember that name? Carl Winslow. Or a Philip Banks, or maybe Uncle Phil. Remember that name? They're from Family Matters and The Fresh Prince. There were 2 dads. I remember watching them and thinking as a little kid being like, I want to be like them. They were sophisticated at the right time, but they knew how to kind of get down and dirty at the right time too. They weren't just pushovers. They weren't just these rich, classy folks. They could get in with it, get dirty, and live life, and knew how to respond wisely. They could react to their kids the right way, because obviously it's a TV show, right? They were scripted, but they had the right things to say. They knew when to apologize to their wife. They knew when to say sorry to their kids. They knew when to correct their kids. And they didn't just react like I usually do. And I remember seeing all that. And then obviously on top of that, I had my dad and my mom showing me what the house should look like. And that's probably where all of us are kind of in that lane there. Maybe we saw it in media, but ultimately we saw it at home, day to day, rubbing elbows with mom and dad. Whether that's a good story or a bad story, either way, you're here this morning, and now it's our time to learn what it looks like to lead and to be in a healthy home. Now, the Bible should be our foundation. As a Christian, it should be your foundation. Now, there's 3 things that God establishes, by the way. There is the government. He establishes government. He establishes us, the church, and he establishes the family. There are 3 things that are kind of mucky, kind of a little uncomfortable at times, right? Think about politics. Maybe the next time we do an icebreaker question to be like, hey, who did you vote for and why should I vote for them? Right? That'd be a fantastic one to start off with. Yeah, right. Are you kidding me? The next one is the next one is the church. If you've been in church long enough, maybe you haven't been in long enough to be hurt by church. I've been hurt by church. If you haven't been hurt yet, stick around long enough. We'll let you down. Don't worry, because we're humans. That's okay, right? And it should be that way because we're not perfect. We're seeking out someone who is perfect, and we will never be there. So we need to offer grace, right? Hopefully you've never been in that boat where you chose to leave. Stick around. It's fine. I swear the other church, they'll let you down just as much as we do, okay? So stand tight here. And then lastly, like I talked about, was the family. And I don't know if I have to say anything really about the family because you know the family. The goods, the bads, the ups and the downs, the side to side, everything in there. Now, the family, I would argue, is the most important thing in our society. Everything kind of runs through that. If you don't believe me, you just look at the stats. I have them here. I'm kind of listed them off because I could not remember all these things. And there's only about 9 of them I've picked. But kids, people that come from healthy homes, established homes. This isn't a kids that come from rich homes become rich. This isn't this. This is literally whether you're poor, rich, in between. As long as the healthy household is happening, this is what takes place in those kids. They're more likely to go to college. They have higher reading and math scores, more likely, obviously, to graduate high school. They have better and robust social relationships as adults. They have lower rates of teen depression and suicidal thoughts. Less likely, here's a big one, less likely to experience violence or poor problem-solving skills in their romantic relationships. And it even impacts the physical health. They have increased longevity. There are reduced cases of eating disorders and obesity, decreased chances of using drugs and alcohol. The family is serious. We look to institutions all the time. I'm a teacher. I forgot to tell you this. I'm a teacher. And parents will tell me, oh, can you just help my kid? They just don't listen to me and this and that. They want me to be the dad. And I'm like, you don't want me to raise your kid. I'll do it way different than you. I'm going to crack this kid. I'm going to do some stuff. You probably be like, oh, I can't do that. Don't do that. Oh, it's right. Sensitive. Soft serve. But I stole that one from Spider-Man. The Punisher used that. I thought it was a great line. Oh, man, you're soft serve. I love saying that one. Anyways, but we should be taking the family serious because of what comes out of there, but maybe we don't. Now, let me kind of tell you guys something. I like going to Disneyland. Been lately, my wife likes going to the Angel game. We're thinking about becoming Angels fans because they're local. We're tired of the losing, but we're like, maybe, we're thinking about it. We're on the fence. Maybe some Dodgers fans later can sell us something. I don't know. We'll see. Or we go to concerts or something like that, right? I remember one time specifically going to the Honda Center and just walked up there, going to a concert, and I remember on the window, usually, right, you look up, hey, what's allowed in this venue? What can you bring? What can't you bring? It's kind of obvious, right? But this was a time before the internet was easily on our phones, so I just kind of was like, I'm just going to go. I won't bring a knife or a gun. I figure they're going to let me in, right? It's kind of obvious. But I go, and on the window it says, no gum allowed. And I was like, shoot, dude, I just opened a brand new pack. Ain't no way I'm throwing this $2 pack away right now, So as a good Christian, what did I do? I hid it in my shoe. And don't act like y'all don't do the same thing. Going to the movies, wherever it is, right? It's okay, we're not here. Could be honest. But I hid it in my shoe, put it under the arch of my shoe, and I'm kind of like walking, like trying to walk normal, but it's kind of obvious if you knew what I did. But I got in, snuck my gum in, got to my seat, pulled the gum out. But this is why I share this illustration. One, because it's obviously stupid, and it'll help you maybe remember it. But two, isn't that kind of how we treat marriage? We may or may not know the rules going in. We may or may not follow the rules going in. We sneak in some behaviors. We think, oh, you know what? Once I get married, I'll be having sex every day. I won't be dealing with pornography. Or we deal with, you know what? He'll love me so much that I won't struggle with swiping that credit card constantly. Or, we'll just have so much love. All that negative talk we had before, negative stuff we've learned, it'll just kind of dissolve. Or maybe we don't even think about it and just jump into it. And that's the sad part. Because if you're with me, if you can, turn to Ephesians chapter 5. We'll read a bit about it in a second here. But if you eventually choose to maybe study this chapter, maybe single folks out there, people that aren't married yet, and I'm not here to remind you that you're not married. I just want to kind of give you a little bit of advice as someone who is married. If you look at this section, you kind of look at it like this hodgepodge of things kind of thrown together. The author, Paul, as you read it, you're thinking, wait, are we talking about wrong behavior in this chapter, or are we choosing to talk about marriage? Again, this is Ephesians chapter 5. But when you completely kind of understand it, something can take place in your lives. And single people, unmarried people, you have a chance to do something that I don't have a chance to do. You have a chance to do something that married people cannot do, and that is walk into your marriage extremely healthy. I would love to sit here and tell you that we do it right every time. My wife and I, we don't. We're both from crazy households. Dysfunction runs in our family, obviously for all of us, right? But you single people, if you listen carefully to this next little section here, it might just help you. It might just save you some time and some pain. Because in that section, the first 21 verses, Paul, the writer of this, talking to the church, he'll mention things. He says things like, be imitators of God, walk in love, have no foolish talk. Sexual immorality shouldn't be mentioned amongst you. Get rid of idolatry. Be children of light, not darkness. Walk wisely, making the most of your time. The days are evil. Do not get drunk with wine, submitting to one another out of reverence of or to Christ. Married people are probably sitting there thinking, shoot, I wish I would have known that before. I wish I would have Googled maybe, hey, what should a marriage entail? Now I'm on marriage number 2, and I'm like, this kind of the patterns are repeating itself. I'm not here to necessarily condemn you, but to make you maybe think about it, to maybe make you, as if you are single, to think about this list. Again, that's Ephesians. Maybe that's the thing that becomes your wallpaper on your phone. Maybe this is why you're holding yourself up from getting married, because sometimes we, as single, I'm talking to the single folks here, we think, God, when is it going to happen? Well, what have you been doing to get ready? We kind of just jump in thinking it's a physical thing. I got to look good, have the job, have those things. And those are not bad things to have, obviously. But when you're rubbing elbows with each other every day, we could care less what you look like. We care more about how you act, how you treat me, how you treat each others. And that's what Paul's getting at here. Because then as he's wound up here, as he's kind of let us have it of the behaviors, hey, these need to all go before you get married. Now he jumps in. And this is where we pick up the story here. This is where if you're married, you can kind of insert yourself into the story here. Verse 22, and he says this, the title of this chapter, at least in the translation I have, it's in bold, says wives and husbands. So it's directed to wives and husbands. Here we go. Wives, Submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, his body and himself, its Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also the wives should easy for me to say, should submit in everything to their husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Therefore a man shall leave his mommy and daddy, father and mother, and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I am saying it refers to Christ and the church. Now, however, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. So there's three things this morning. Some of them will be reminders, some of them are tips and pointers, whatever, but there's three things that I think Paul kind of pulls out of there to kind of slam in our face to be like, hey, wait a minute, stop, let's think about this. The three things are synergy, sacrifice, and support. Three things in a marriage that need to take place. There should be synergy, sacrifice, and support. Now, the first one, synergy, this has kind of been like a buzzword in the career I have. I'm a teacher. They always have buzzwords, this random talk they use. But I learned this word synergy, and it's the idea of like teamwork. And in a marriage, if you're like me and my wife, it can be a tough one because we're so different from each other. That's what draws us together, doesn't it? But I'll tell you this. My wife and I, we have similar beliefs. We're both Christian. Politically, we agree the same. We agree the same in how we raise our kids, how we discipline our kids. All that kind of stuff we agree upon, but we are still different. Sometimes my wife, she does things her way. I do things the right way, right? Married folk are like, yeah, oh, I get it, right? Yeah. They do it their way, but I do it the right way, right? And so I have this outlook, and we kind of chuckle because we all know what we're talking about here. We're like, yeah, exactly. They just don't even know how to stir the drink properly. It's like, come on, But I remember a time I was single, wasn't even married yet. My dad, it didn't make sense at the time, but now it does because it paints of like, I get marriage now. I get why we just kind of drive each other crazy and this and that. And he looked at me dead serious and said, Nathan, he's talking about my mom. He said, Nathan, I've never met a woman in my life whom I love so much, but at the same time, I just want to punch her to the moon. And I was like, no, I get the frustrations happen. It's like, yeah, you kind of get like, oh, and that can lead to a little bit of frustration, a little bit of division. Because the marriage was supposed to be us, U-S, as in us. But sometimes we kind of switch things to a VS, to a versus, to us against them, to she's not on my side. If you saw the behavior she did, you realize she is not on my side or he's not on my side. And we can quickly go down that road, can't we? And this one here is just a reminder. It's nothing. I don't have nothing for you to take with you on this point, but it's more of just a reminder that we're in here together as a team when you get married. When you say I do, remember, one day you thought they were a good idea. Remember that? You remember that? All that stuff. You'd drop everything to go see them. You would tell everybody about them. You would post about them on social media. But then as time wears on, a little bit of resentment, a little bit of that I'm against you or you're against me begins to creep in. And doesn't help us, does it? Divorce is obviously on the rise. We all see that. I wonder how many of those have started with a little resentment. They forgot at that beginning line where that says, I do, till death do us part, sickness or poor, good or bad. Because as you get to know somebody a little bit more intimately, you begin to see the bad, don't you? But it's as us married individuals to remember all the good things and to begin to help our partner through the bad things. Not blame them through the bad things, not drag them through the bad things, but to begin to encourage them to fix the bad things. And you're married, you know what I'm talking about. It takes some time. You ever sit in a a goal for another adult? Has that ever worked for anybody? Has everybody ever done that? You set a goal for another adult, right? I've tried, I've tried to train my, no, I'm just kidding. I've tried, but I'm going to get punched out after the message, after this whole thing. Anyways, but I've tried and it just doesn't work, right? Never happens. And we try to do this. We try to be like, oh, well, you just do it my way, do it this way. We're just a little different is all it is. And remember that it's your differences in the first place that brought you together. Okay, but now here we go. Here's a little more application, if you will. For the gentleman in the room, the sacrifice portion. This means to die to ourselves, gentlemen. This is not a one-time thing. It's a continual choice. And believe it or not, guys, you're pretty good at this. You may think, oh, my marriage is falling apart. You're actually really good at of this dying to yourself. Think about your average day. If you go to work, maybe you're retired, doesn't relate to you. But if you go to work, you choose to wake up on time. You choose to hop on the freeway and drive the right direction. You choose to hop on the freeway and drive the proper speed. You choose not to drive on the shoulder to go around all the traffic, even though we would love to do that in the morning. Well, we were like, oh, I'm tired of this 91 freeway. You choose to get to work on time. You choose not to tell your boss off, to continually choose to not to remind him, hey, you need to pay me more. Hey, you got to do this more, right? You choose to leave at the right time. You don't leave early. And so our whole lives, Monday through Friday, that 9 to 5, we're pretty good at dying to ourselves, men. But the second we get home, kind of does a 180, isn't it? We're kind of like, I can't help you with the kids today. I can't do this for you. I'm just so tired of this. I can't. And it's easy to, when I share all this, I told my wife, I was like, please don't stand up and say hypocrite at all this whole time, because I'm just as human as you guys are, right? But it's the way it works. We're so good at work. And this is why, at least this is why I think why. Because think about this. At work, men, it's transactional. With the freeway, it's transactional. You're getting something in return. If I speed, I'm going to pay my ticket. I'm going to pay up. So I don't speed, so I don't got to pay. I go to work on time. I leave at the right time. I go to lunch at the right time. I work my 40 hours, maybe even more hours if they pay me more, because at the end of the week, what? They're going to pay me. Something that's coming down the pipe there. In marriage, does it work that way? It does not. This is why it is a choice, men, to lay your life down. Because we're waiting for, if I do this, then she better give me sex later. If I do this, then she better have dinner ready for me. If I go to work all these hours, the least I can ask is this, right? That's wrong. Because we're called to be like Christ. And what did Christ do? Laid his life down. Think about this. If you can kind of picture yourselves in this story here, or you kind of just watch Jesus in this story. The night before Jesus is crucified, he's praying to God the Father. He's talking to him, conversing with him, very stressed out, very just stomach's turning about it all. He's sweating blood. If you've read the story, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you're newer to church, you've never heard this before. But Jesus is there. He knows what's coming his way. He knows he's about to die. He knows he's about to feel this human pain that if we were put in that spot, it would hurt a lot and ultimately lose our lives. And he tells God the Father this. And these are just me paraphrasing in Nathan Del Campo terms. He's like, God, is there any way I can pass this cup to somebody else? Can take this from me? And then he kind of finishes by saying, but not my will, but thy will. Not what I want, but what you need, God. And if you think about that, as the husband, have you asked yourself that question? Have you viewed your marriage that way of not my way, not my will, but thy will? Have you put your wife first? Have you started the race to the end of the line? I like to call it the race to the end of the line, where it's like we're battling each other for who can be first, for who can be last, not who can be first. To give your wife those things that she needs, to help her out, to make her hopes, dreams, desires come true, right? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what she needs. That's what I need to do. And look, I could probably rattle off, you should do this, you should do that, you should do all these things, but ultimately, it's the idea of sacrificing yourself. Not ending your life, but maybe saying, you know what? I'm not going to go out this Friday with my friends. Let me tell you something about my wife here. I know she would let me just go out every night of my life. I know she'd let me. But because I know she would do that, because I know I got that from her, I don't take advantage of it because I'm like, no, I'd rather be with somebody like that. Be around somebody who's not kicking me out and making me just want to leave, but being like, you know what? I will support you. I'll submit to you. And that leads me to the next thing here. For wives, it's simple. You got one job. Respect your husband. Okay? Kind of a tough one. By the way, this is only for married women, okay? So if you're single or you're just living with somebody, you can do whatever you want. Let me know how the results work out. I'd love to hear that story later on. But for the married women, women that want to be married one day, are looking down the road and being like, you know what? I hope that day comes. Actually, I wish it came yesterday because I want to be married so bad, right? We're craving one thing. Men, get your mind out of the gutter. We're craving one thing. We're craving respect, right? Women think we're just all day walking around thinking about sex constantly and like giving them the look, like, is she giving me the look? Is it going to happen right now? No, we're more than that though. We're thinking about respect. Why do you think, men, we can go put hours and hours at work? It gains us respect. Gain a little bit of finance, get a nice house, gives me a little respect. I got the nice car, gives me a little respect, right? That's all I want. And ladies, this is what Paul says. He says, how do you do this? How do you respect your husbands? Submit to your husband. Submit to your husband. But here's the part that we kind of get wrong. Here's the part that we maybe have a bad definition. And maybe we're like, ladies, that's not for me. This is 2026. I refuse to submit. That just sounds like slavery or something like sexist. Be careful here. This is what the Bible is saying, not outside in the world. Not Oprah Winfrey, not something else. This is the Bible, the Word of God is saying this. Submission isn't becoming less than. It's the idea of understanding there is a chain of command. A chain of command in order to accomplish a goal. A common goal. My wife and I, we have a common goal. We choose to give a lot of ourselves up so that our kids can have better futures. We both are like, hey, you know what? We want to make sure they are raised in church. They go to church. We want to make sure they're just obviously good citizens, stuff like that, right? We're not just sitting here being like, oh, yeah, we hope, whatever. So in your households, maybe it's time to remember back. Maybe it's time to have that conversation of what's the common goal? Why are we even doing this thing anymore? What are we looking towards the future for? Or are we just kind of just bumping into each other constantly over and over and over, my will, my will, my will, instead of, well, what's the goal? All right? And let me tell you guys something. My wife and I currently, we're in a season where where I'm a primary breadwinner. She stays home. She's a homemaker. And so financially, we're basically just breaking even. I didn't get a position at work that's usually kind of an extra overtime thing. I'm not here to tell you some sad story. I'm just going to show you how this kind of works here. And so finances have been kind of a thing of contention as of late, the last so many weeks. And in this realm of respecting, submitting, my wife will really, before she just says, oh, I just give it all to you, I lay down, she wants to know she can trust me. She wants to kind of ask me questions. She wants to know, and I'll be honest with you, when she's doing that, it almost feels like she's just not trusting me because that little kid inside me is like, just leave me alone, I can figure it out type of thing, right? But she's asking me questions and questions and questions, and then there'll come a moment in time. She doesn't say, I submit now. But the room kind of, the air shifts directions, the music kind of changes, and I know at that moment, she gives me a look like, Nathan, I trust you, I submit to your authority in the finances. And let me tell you, ladies, what happens if you're willing to do that. I'm not just talking about finances, I'm talking about everything. This is just a specific example. If you're willing to submit, something changes in your husband's mind. Because no longer does he think, what can I do now? What are my future hopes, dreams, desires? Now in his brain, he's got two futures he's thinking about. He might even be thinking more about your future, actually, than his own. And I'll even add to this, me as a father of 4 kids, I tell people all the time, I have 6 futures running through my head now because my wife trusts me to provide for them. I trust her to make sure she's managing the household correctly. But that's how it works. The second she kind of hands it over to me, I'm like, I sit up a little straighter. I get a little more professional. I start dressing a little nicer to work because I'm like, you know what? I want to make sure I do everything I can to hold up my end of the bargain because now she's letting me run. You don't believe me? Guys, think about this. How many times as a child did we grow up dressing like Spider-Man, dressing like Batman, dressing like some kind of hero? Because what? We're dying to be the hero. We're dying to save the day. Maybe it's been so long since you've had a chance to save the day, but think about it. Me, I enter anywhere and I'm thinking, man, if things go sideways, this is kind of stupid about me, but it's the real thing. If things go sideways, like, I hope everybody just turns to me and I have the answer. You know? It's dumb, right? It's really cheesy, but it really, as a man, you're like, this is the way I'm geared. You don't believe me? How many times, ladies, and this is like nails on a chalkboard statement to me, but it's like, ladies, and maybe raise your hand if so. I know my wife's not the only crazy one here, but here we go. Ladies, how many times have you said it's something like this? I don't want to be fixed. I just want to be heard. How many times you said something like that where it's like, don't fix my problem. Just listen to me, right? All the men are kind of pointing their elbow and their wives are like, dude, it's like, oh, how many times, guys, have we fallen for the trap where we've probably listened for about a minute out of the 30 minutes they've kind of talked, right? And we're like, now I have the solution. And the wives, you're just like, no, just listen to me. But naturally, we want to be the hero. Let us be the hero at times. Give us that respect. Put that pressure on us and watch us shine. And maybe you're that lady, maybe your wife, you're going, oh, I would never respect my husband. Have you seen him? He just sits on his phone all day. He's just on his laptop. He goes to the gym all day. And I'm sure if I sat down with you, I'd probably agree with you. But just because you're right doesn't give you the right to do that. Have you ever wondered, let me just kind of just pose this for maybe just one or two of you out there. Have you ever thought that maybe you're in the way of making that all happen? Have you ever thought that you've never given him the chance, and so now he's kind of just given up to even try being the leader? Because you're just saying, you know what, I can't trust him. Maybe it's something from lineage of like, my dad was a certain way, his dad was a certain way, I can't trust him. Maybe you've heard your mom just be like, don't ever trust men, or whatever it may be. But could it be that you're kind of tripping yourself up by not letting your husband lead the way, by not submitting to him? And it's not a transaction. Remember, everything here is not a transaction. It's not I submit to him and then I expect this back. It's what you're called to do by God, not by Nathan Dow Campbell. This is what's great about this. I'm fairly new married. I'm year number 7 married. So I'm not trying to give you all these examples of how I do it right, because I'm definitely not. But Paul's telling you, if you want a successful marriage, consider these things. Okay? But ladies, if you're looking today, you're like, you know what, Nathan, kind of give me something to try then. Give me something to do. So let me give you some advice, okay? If you're like, you know what, how do I do this thing? How do I kind of get my husband going, whatever it may be? So ready for it? Here's the secret. Ladies, go to Victoria's Secret. No, I'm just kidding. I just felt like we needed to laugh a little bit there. I was getting a little too much like pressure on the women's shoulders. So I was like, how can I kind of mix this up a little bit? My bad. That was maybe a terrible joke, whatever. But now you're smiling again. Great. The ladies were getting kind of mad at me. Husbands, I don't want you to be in trouble later. That's why I was like, let's just ease it up a little bit. But anyhow, ladies, though, if you're really looking to, single ladies, when the time comes, if you're looking to wonder, ask, or figure out, there's 2 questions I want you to ask your husband. Where have you been feeling disrespected? Like, I'm serious. If you're really like, you know what, our marriage has just been on the rocks. We've just been angry at each other. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of this coming home to this. He's tired of coming home to this. Don't try to be like, aha, got you in these answers, or some kind of in the middle of a fight, ask these questions, or maybe he's tired. Don't do it during that time. Wait till we're calmed down, emotional temperatures calm down, we're feeling rested, we're feeling ready, and here's the 2 questions I'll say. The first one again, where have you been feeling disrespected? Where have you been feeling disrespected? And the second one, where is an area, just one area, I can submit to your authority? And wait. And wait. If he tells you something right away, I can guarantee you that's not the real answer. It's more of a just kind of leave me alone answer. But ladies, maybe wait a couple hours. Maybe wait a day. Maybe wait a whole week. Maybe it's tonight, your husband's next to you, you're like, let's think about this. Let's really figure out, because I guarantee you, if you're willing to listen, ladies, and not just be like, see, I knew, I figured, let him speak. Give him a chance. We are literally men of few words. Give us a chance for the floor at that moment and see what he has to say. And I guarantee, if you take it serious, you give it some time, maybe take a year, try to go by these things, I can guarantee your marriage will get better. Maybe a year later you come back, it didn't work, you can punch me in the face or something. I don't even care. But I get it though, right? Marriage is hard. It really is. It's easier to walk away. It's easier to say, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I've fallen out of love with you, whatever it may be, right? Think about this. The first ever generation of marriage, Adam and Eve, husband and wife, the way it was supposed to be, had a 100% success rate. Now, flash forward to today, what are we at? About 50% success rate? Declining. Over the years, right? Over a lot of time. Not like tomorrow we're going to go to zero. But it's a hard thing. It is a day-to-day grind. It's not some big purchase and now we're happy. It's how we interact day to day. I would wonder if I could poll the divorced folks in the world and the people who had to kind of fall apart. I wonder if I could ask them what went wrong and how many things I'd point to where Paul in chapter 5 talks about, hey, just if you had just done this. Remember, this isn't my command to you. This is God's command to us. And I share all this with the seriousness of what marriage really is, because the future's on the line, not just for yourselves, but possibly for children and just society as a whole. Last thing I'll say here. I kind of broke the rules. I'm not going to lie to you guys. My wife told me, don't talk about me. She really did. She said, don't talk about me. You know what she told me? And this is kind of a funny thing. Some of you will get what I'm saying. I kind of had to stop for a second and think. I was like, wait, what does that mean? She said, if you talk about me, I'm going to Will Smith you. And some of you guys are like, get what I'm saying. But if you don't worry. I was in the same. I was like, Will Smith you? And then she goes, keep your wife's name out your mouth. And I was like, oh yeah, Will Smith. He walked up and slapped Chris Rock, right? Because he was talking about his wife. Anyways, whatever. But she literally said that. I remember walking in our neighborhood by the park where we live, right? She was right there walking home, just an afternoon walk, and said that. I was just dying. Anyways, but I got to talk about her, okay? And she has no idea what I'm going to say here. So we'll see. But my wife, she does something. She does this action, if you will. This action is something that I never agreed to. This is something that I never signed on the dotted line. I expect this every day. Or even when I was shopping for a wife, I wasn't like, hey, they better do this. This is something I didn't even realize she was doing until maybe, 3 or 4 years ago. We're already 3 or 4 years deep into our marriage at that time, right? When I realized it. I can't unsee it. This is something that I'll tell my coworkers, or I'll tell female students at work, hey, did you know my wife does this? And they look at me like what? What is this, 1926? We're in 2026. It shouldn't be that way. It's something that keeps me grounded. So I was talking about just your day-to-day grind. This is something that when I'm feeling a little frustrated, when I'm feeling like maybe doing something stupid to hurt our marriage, to hurt her, I think back to this little gesture. And I'm not saying this is you do this and you're honoring God. I'm not saying you do this, ladies, and you get to go to heaven. It might help. But anyways, I'm not saying all that, but this is what she does. Every day, even when she's mad, even if we're in the middle of a fight, even when she's tired because she's got 4 kids running around and she's got this 5th kid running around, And so every single day, we'll all sit at the dinner table. We're at the island. And she'll bring me my dinner every day. And it's such a small gesture, such a blink of an eye thing. If you went to her house, you wouldn't even realize it's happening. But I realize every day she'll do that for me. And this is why I remember it. This is why I'm sharing it. Because it helps me remember that we're a team. Helps me remember that, because when we're at odds and she still does it, I'm like, oh, why did you do that? Why can't you just let me do it myself? Because I don't want to have to talk with you. And I got to be the bigger person now. She's already been the bigger person. So it's I don't want to do that, right? But it really helps ground us to remind me to lay myself down for her. And it shows me that she's laying herself down for me, that she's submitting to me. You see, it isn't, let me just go buy you a brand new car and make you kind of just shut up and now you love me. Or let's go buy the new house. Let's go on the vacations. That stuff's nice. Do not get me wrong. But it's those day-to-day gestures. And it's not just the wife's gestures. It's also the husband's gestures. Okay? And that, my friends, is how we can make it work. Now, single people, married people, everybody, if you're willing to, take Ephesians 5, really dissect it, really paste it to your heart. Married people, as I end right now at this very moment, married people, you'll be able to define what a good and healthy household looks like, smells like, feels like, tastes like. And so people will just be dying to be around you. People will just be dying to know, what is the secrets to this? And those are the moments where you can share Christ with them. That's how it's done. Not all of us are theologians. We're going to sit there and be like, well, the Bible says all this stuff, and Jesus rose from the dead. There's all this evidence. Most of the time, all the people I've ever invited to church came because, or interacted with me because they saw something I was doing right. Something that wasn't going right for them happened to be going right for me. I shouldn't say happened to go right, but because of the Word of God, because of my submission in a certain area, made them kind of scratch their head and go, well, why is it working for them and not for me? And that's the power of our marriage. And lastly, the last thing I'll say, this last sentence is this. If you can apply these truths, married people, you can do something your parents can't do. You can do it right and get it right. Let me pray. Here we go. Lord, thank you for this time.